New controversy surrounding the role of service dogs in the courtroom. In particular, we're talking about a case in New York. It's where a dog helped a teenager suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder testify about being raped by her own father.
Rosie, the golden retriever, who looks a lot like this service dog on the screen there, sat at the teen's feet as she struggled to recount the brutal story for members of the jury. And now her father's lawyers are appealing his conviction, claiming that Rosie's presence influenced the jurors. Joining us is Mercedes Colwin and Bob Massi, both of whom are Fox News legal analysts. Good to see you both.
Great to see you, Rick.
Bob, you got a problem with this dog helping this young girl feel comfortable about testifying?
Well, assuming that, and remember, Rick, it's within the discretion of the court that certain thresholds were met, there are guidelines that have to be met by what we call clear and convincing evidence that, in fact, this was necessary to be aided and the proper foundation was used. Although I know right now it seems pretty extreme, I think in the long run this is going to become commonplace because other states have it. Some appellate courts have upheld it. Some have reversed some cases out of concern. But I think it's the thing of the future. And as in the law, it evolves. We have to wait and see ultimately.
So, Mercedes, just so folks understand, this was a dog that was there to comfort this little girl as she had to recount these very, very difficult things and actually speak. So when she started to pause or to get uncomfortable, the dog sensed that and was able to sort of give her a little nudge to help her feel confident and comfortable enough to speak. I guess the problem is that this is a cute puppy, and aren't folks in the jury going to automatically, you know, sort of, I guess, be charmed by the presence of the dog to the point where it could influence their decision?
I mean, I think that's a good point, and I think the defense attorneys are truly trying to do this because there's 25 years to life that this man is facing for the conviction. But ultimately, the juries are going to follow the letter of the law. And there are so many instructions that are given by the judge, one of which is no sympathy. You can't have sympathy. You have to follow the letter of the law. Case in point, Casey Anthony. I mean, how many emotions were swirling around and outside the courtroom, in the courtroom, and yet that jury followed the letter of the law and said, hey, the prosecutors didn't meet their burden. We can't convict on these charges. I think the same thing happened here. I can't imagine that these jurors were swayed one way or the other. What was most compelling is that young girl testifying how her father raped her repeatedly and impregnated her. That's what convicted this man, not a dog nudging its little nose against her.
So the difference being, Mercedes, that these service dogs, they've long been allowed in courtrooms, but this particular use of this dog, she sat at the feet of this young girl and just kind of nudged her when she was stressed. Is that how it worked?
That's exactly right. And it's underneath her. I mean, it's not that the dog was propped up in the witness chair. It's underneath her feet. So whenever the dog noticed that she was stressed, the dog knew to come closer to her and nudge her along. But it didn't change her testimony. She's still sworn to testify under oath. She's sworn to tell the truth. It was most compelling the content of what she's saying, not the dog.
Okay, Bob, so what about Mercedes' argument? You know, maybe we need to give jurors more credit. They're going to follow their instructions. They've got a job to do. Doesn't matter what kind of cute animal is in the witness stand.
Well, let's go back a little bit. There was a federal law, Rick, passed in '02 that addressed the fact that victims of these type of crimes can be assisted in the courtroom. Up to this point in time, it has been adults have assisted and been there to comfort victims, young victims. Also, there's been cases where children have brought in actually dolls and little teddy bears to give them a sense of security. So there's been an evolution thing here. I'll tell you what it raises for me. It's going to be interesting on picking a jury. So if you're a prospective juror, Rick, first of all, how do I know you're not afraid of dogs? How do I know you're not allergic to dogs, to dog hair? As crazy as that sounds, it's going to be up to the lawyers to actually ask jurors these questions if, in fact, it's been agreed to ultimately through different hearings before the trial that the dog is going to be used. So there's a lot of other sideshows on this whole issue.
Bob, let me
it's
ask
not
you
as
real quick,
black and white.
What's going to happen on appeal here?
I think ultimately, remember, the appellate court looks down to see if the judge abused their discretion. There's a wide range of being able to exercise discretion. Probably would be affirmed unless they feel the defendant's right of Sixth Amendment was in some way impinged.
Mercedes, real quick, 10 seconds on appeal. What happens?
Oh, I think Bob's absolutely right. I don't think they've got a prayer.
All right, Mercedes Colwin, Bob Massi, good to see you both.
Thanks so
very
much, Rick.
Thank you.